Hey, hold up. Fred made this?
What's up, everybody? Here with All the Field with Isaiah Robinson, special guest Christa Dior. How you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm glad that you can come on and share your experiences and just teach the youth and everything your knowledge.
Mm. Thank you for having me.
Of course. So, first question of the day: talk to me about your journey and who is Christa, and also what's important to you.
Oh, I like that one. Okay, a little bit. Okay, so a little bit about me. Well, I graduated from Bowie State. I'm 24. Well, I'll be 25 next month, so my birthday is then. A little bit about my journey and just who I am. And you said also
What's important to you?
what's important to me. Okay, well, I'm
Mhm.
gonna start with what's important to me. So, honestly, the usual. When I was in college, I realized that I had a passion for helping other people, and so like I had went through something a little traumatic, and I'd
Mhm.
like realized that I would love to create a safe space for women to be able to have like a safe haven where they could come and they can pour out and they would be able to share their experiences as well as their trauma in a safe environment. And so as a teen mother as well, I used to always have a vision of one day starting like a youth group or like a nonprofit that would be able to help single mothers because I know the challenges with that. And so when I added that layer with what I went through in college, and I was like, okay, well, I want to create a safe haven for women to do this. And so as I've continued to live and as I've continued on this journey of just life in general, I've added so much to my passions. And I think overall, I'm really passionate about helping other people find freedom in their own lives, for them to be able to heal through their traumas. And then that way they're able to grow and transform into who God has called them to be ultimately.
I like that. I like that. You talked about you went through something traumatic and you really want to help other people get through that too. Is that the reason why you started your podcast?
No, so my podcast came a little bit a couple years later down from my journey. So what I went through in college actually
Mhm.
birthed me starting a blog. So I actually started out blogging, and that was not even for like the people as much as it was for me. I
Mhm.
time I rediscovered what my passions were, and something that I've always been naturally gifted in, but I never really took too serious was writing. So I
Mhm.
started writing through the pain, and then I seen that other people were able to connect with my words and how my vulnerability helped bridge the gap for a lot of people to find the words to express what they're going through as well. And
Mhm.
then from blogging, I had actually started creating IGT videos. So this was
Okay.
a couple years ago. I would just post little videos on Instagram, still not thinking nothing of it. And so as I've sat and I've gone through this journey, as I've continued to grow my relationship with God, and I've gotten
Mhm.
to know more of who I am and gotten to break off some limitations and barriers within myself, creating the Unleash You podcast, because it's called the Unleash You, is really just about God has said that He's going to get me unleashed. And my promise to Him is whoever, when He gets me unleashed, I'm going to always look back and help the next person get unleashed. And we're
Mhm.
called to do as well.
Mhm. So after a person views your podcast, what do you want them to take away from it?
I want them to just take away the vulnerability and the authenticity that gives them the room to understand, like, who God is, yes, but also who their identity is in Him, to have the tools and to help change the perspective. We understand that the person is renewed by their mindset. And so,
Mhm.
how the person thinks, so is he. And so, I really want to challenge people's perspectives. I want to help them see things from a different light. And a lot of times, people don't know how to work through their trauma and heal their traumas because they haven't found the words for it. That's why you'll see a lot of people who fight and they get so upset. It's really because they don't have the words to articulate how they're feeling. And
Mhm.
I just want other people to know, like, have that emotional maturity and be able to have that perspective where they can communicate their pain so they can ultimately release it and move
Mhm.
forward and actually heal from the things they're going through.
Right. So I like that a lot, but I know you didn't always start there. Like you had to begin somewhere too, right?
Yeah,
So
of course.
what are some steps and some processes that you did to get to where you are now?
A lot of alone time, a lot of
Mhm.
self reflection and accountability. And so I always tell people the number one thing when it comes to growth, yes, self-awareness is key, but self-awareness will only take you so far if you don't know how to be accountable for your own actions and who you are. And so,
Mm,
and I got out of my toxic relationship and just going through the motions of life, period. It's
mm,
no longer about who walked away. It's not about, oh, why that situation happened to me, but I want to be a student at life at all times because
mm,
everything that I go through, it has the ability to teach me something. And so a lot of times I'll sit in stillness and I'll meditate and I'll reflect and I'll actually sit through my thoughts. And a large reason why people don't really like get to this level of self-awareness as well is because people don't want to sit in it. Sitting
mm,
with the truth is uncomfortable. Sitting with your own toxic behaviors and your own toxic mindset is uncomfortable. To be able to challenge yourself and to hold yourself accountable for who you are is uncomfortable. But the quicker you can sit in it and the quicker you can take accountability for all of that and actually sit there and question why you are the way that you are and put the pieces together, because most time it started in childhood. And so I really started doing a lot of inner work, which really was me getting free from the pain that I went through as a child.
mm.
Yeah.
That's all right. I like that. So that is actually uncomfortable because sometimes I find it hard to like actually be truthful to myself sometimes and just take a look at you outside your body and just reflect on things like that. So I know that can be very tough and also traumatizing, but at the end of the day, it's what you need and it's what's going to make you better person, really.
Yes.
So after reading the Bible and everything, I know you're very spiritual.
Yeah.
How has applying the Bible changed your life?
Oh, there's power in the text. So
Mm,
a lot of people think, oh, well, it's just, the Bible and its words. It's words on a page if you do not have the spirit of God within you to reveal the hidden mysteries of that text. And so when I started to really just like, and it was a process, and I want people to understand like, you're not tripping, you're just in process. There's a process to becoming, there's a process before you step into your assignment. There is a process to literally just all that you're going to become. And so, yeah, don't stress yourself out about trying to understand all of it. But what I did understand, and the
mhm,
biggest one for me was, as a person thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so
mm,
as I started to elevate my mindset, that's where other things in the text became more like practical. I started realizing the deeper meaning. And when I started really like creating a real relationship where I hear from God, I talk to God, me and God are personal like that, then
mm,
the understanding naturally just started to evolve. And as I started to not just be a hearer of the word, but also a doer, it's just helped me walk with such a level of confidence and a surety of who I am, and knowing that whatever God is calling me to do is possible. And so adding that to my life has been the difference from me breaking free from the limitations of my past, which has
mm,
always been that girl who was fearful, who was insecure, who doubted herself, who didn't think she was enough. I started to understand that my identity is in this word, and I'm whole, I'm made complete, I'm loved fully, and I'm forgiven. And it gave me the permission to move forward in a healthy way.
mm. Love that. So I know throughout your journey, just whether you're in sports or you're in the real world, like there's a process everybody goes through, right?
Yes.
So people sometimes don't trust the process; they just want the finishing outcome. So how can you actually trust the process and realizing it actually is a process?
My faith in God alone. Faith.
Mm,
Your currency has to be faith. Your currency has to be faith. The word tells us that we are called to live a life of faith and not by sight.
mm,
And so the more that I read the word and the more that I get to know God's character and I get to understand that he is good, that he actually does have a plan for me and expected end, and that essentially his plans aren't to harm me. So no matter what I go through, rather it's stretching me, it hurts, it's painful. I got to endure a season for a while. No matter what it is, I understand that it's here to all work together for my good. And so your faith has to be your currency because, like I said, there's a process to becoming. And the quicker that you can surrender to the process, because a lot of us we can go around the same mountains for years and years and years and years without ever gaining the lesson that we were supposed to gain on that level. And so you got to get the lesson because there's
mhm,
a language to where you're going. And so in order to go from glory to glory, from process to process, you have to master the level that you're on. And
mm,
once you're able to master that level, now he's going to take you up a level where you get to have a new thing that he wants to reveal. Now you are seeing yourself in a new light. You're seeing the world in a new light, and there's going to be new challenges, but how you handle those challenges and how you surrender to the process. And if you stop tripping, a lot of us are tripping because we're not where we want to be. Everybody wants to be an overnight sensation because that's what social media gives, but that's only like 15 minutes. Anything worth having has to have a solid foundation. There has to be roots. And so
Right.
if you want something sustainable, something to actually last, who you become during the process of getting there is far more important than the thing that you get. Your character is everything.
Right. And that's what some people don't realize today. Like, I realized too that personality and character are two different things. So like a personality is something that you can be born with. Somebody can be naturally funny. Character is what you do when nobody's looking. That's the person who you actually are.
Yeah.
So I know sometimes people get relationships and toxicity because they fell in love with somebody's personality rather than their character. So you really got to learn the difference between the two, like their morals and everything like that.
Definitely.
And so we talking about the journey and everything. Sometimes we be getting lost in the fact, like, okay, I want this, I want this, I want this. How can we find contentment in the now and not worry about the future?
This book really helped me. It's called The Power of Now. And the
Mhm.
way I broke it down, because I am somebody who dealt with extreme anxiety, depression, all of that. So I know how all of that goes. But the book really helped me because it talked about how worry is just anxiety and worry come from you thinking too much into the past.
Mhm.
Fear and anxiety comes from you thinking too far ahead. But if you can ever get yourself to be present in the moment and realize that in this actual moment, outside of your thoughts, outside of your own head, there's nothing wrong,
Mm.
and you realize that everything is exactly how it's supposed to be, and you invite that stillness. And so that's why meditation has become such a huge part of my routine. Like, I have to meditate, I have to release all of the thoughts of yesterday, all of the thoughts of what may happen, and I have to ground myself in this moment, because if I can find peace right now, it'll give me the permission to do what I have to do, but not out of shame, not out of fear, not out of guilt, but literally out of love. Like, okay, I'm at peace with myself, I'm at peace with life right now. And so what do I need to do that's going to bring me one step closer? But when you do it from a place of shame, it doesn't work, because I've tried to move from that place, and it keeps you stuck. It does. That's why people be inconsistent.
Mm-hmm. So you just gotta let everything go, really focus on the now and your purpose.
Yeah, because when you think about it, everybody's so stressed because they know where they want to be and they know that they're not there yet. But if you just focus on the journey, when I say I've learned to fall in love with the process, I'm talking about I can be on my whole bed crying and I'll just start laughing because I understand that my tears are watering something that I can't see yet. Your faith has to be your currency. I understand how it feels right now. I understand what it looks like, and I'm not where I want to be, but I
Mm-hmm.
understand where I'm going. I have so much faith in that. I have so much faith in my Father. And so even as I'm sitting there crying, I could laugh because I understand that it's all a part of the process. And my
Mm.
tears, they're watering something
Mm.
from it.
Hey, that's powerful right there. Ooh, that's powerful right there. And that's crazy because I never even thought about it like that. Because like being an athlete and things like that, like we go through tough times every day, like because it's a roller coaster, it's a journey. Everybody's not where they want to be, and you see a lot of success sometimes. And like you said, like them tears are for a purpose. The whole thing is for a purpose, and
Yeah.
you just can't lose sight of that. And that's why sometimes you can get mentally depressed if you're not having that mindset of this is for a purpose. Like I remember I was talking to one of the previous guests, DJ Golak. He was saying that when he was going through his mental depression, that he felt like God had his finger pointed at him, like, what did he do wrong, right?
Mm.
But it's not even like that. It's like you just got to look at it as a lesson and just look at it as the bigger picture. I would say you got to really look at the bigger picture, and just like you said, your faith is your currency. So if you lose faith, you lose
And I
everything.
think also when it tells us to seek first the kingdom,
Mm-hmm.
that the reason why I can say my faith is my currency is because I'm in this world, but I'm not of this world.
Mm-hmm.
I understand who I serve. My help and my trust is not in money. It's not in man. It's not in fame. It's not in the accolades. It's not even in my own abilities and my own intellect. My faith alone is in God and who I've learned for him to be and who I've discovered who he just is. And it's like a process because we come in this relationship with God and we come with so much baggage because being in this world, you didn't seen things, you didn't done things, you didn't been through some stuff. And so like, I didn't know how to receive love because love was kind of foreign to me.
Mm-hmm.
So even as a dad, God comes to love you as a father. I didn't have that fatherly love with my father. So it was hard for me to perceive the love that God had for me. And it took me literally 3 years. I'm just now being able to perceive the level of love that he actually cares about me, that he's not some evil dictator that's trying to he cares. He's a protector. He just wants to make sure you're safe, draw you closer. All he provides for you. And so it's just like nothing that this world throws at me. I understand who's going to come through at the end.
Mm. So, like you say, you didn't really have the love from your father that you was wanting. Did you grow up in a church home, or how did Christianity find you?
Yeah, I grew up in a church home.
Okay.
Minister, but his church, I just didn't really get along with his church. I'm really happy that he raised me in the church, but however, his church is one of those traditional churches you like, y'all judgmental. I ain't got time for this. I'm gonna go live my
Mm-hmm.
life. I can have that, and so that's
Right.
what happened. But because I was raised, that's why it says to raise up a child in the way they should go. Because in the end, they will not depart from it. Doesn't mean they'll never depart. Because I definitely departed. But in
Mm-hmm.
the end, when all hit the fan and I was at rock bottom, I knew who to call on because I was raised, that was instilled in me. And so I cried out to God one day and I said, if you're real, the way that I've heard you are real, show me,
Mm-hmm.
show me. Because
Right.
I can't take this no more.
Right. Not for real. So now we get to the trivia part of the interview. You say you read the Bible. Let's see how well your knowledge
Oh my goodness.
is. What animals did David slay as a young shepherd? A bear and a leopard and a lion, a wolf and a bear, or a lion and a bear?
A lion and a bear.
Yeah, that's one. What were the two bodies of water that God parted from the Israelites' children to cross? The Red Sea and the River Jordan, the Red Sea and Euphrates, the Dead Sea and the River Nile, or the Red Sea and the River Jackbot?
I only know the Red Sea.
Red Sea and the Jordan River, you think?
No, because they crossed the Jordan River.
Mm. So
So
what
I
you
know the the Red Sea and the E word.
you sure?
Yeah, we're gonna go with that one.
It was the Red Sea and the Jordan River.
It was the Jordan because I'm like, okay, they crossed the Jordan River, but
Mhm. Because yeah, it was both of them.
okay.
Yeah. What did Jacob give Joseph that sparked jealousy from his siblings? A pot maker, a coat of many colors, a bed, or clothes?
A coat. He had a special coat.
Mhm. Through what did God speak to Moses in the desert? A burning bush, a tree, water, or animals?
A burning bush.
My God. Last one. Noah got a weather alert from God that the storm was set to for how long?
I know they was on that boat for a while. What was the options again?
40 days, 40 nights,
Way more.
10 days, 10 nights, 20 days, 20 nights.
More.
More? You think so?
Okay, then it has to be if the highest is the 40, I'm gonna go with 40 because I'm
Yeah.
gonna say they was on that boat for a little minute.
It was, yeah, 40 days, 40 nights. Look at you knowing it. Okay.
Read my word.
Yeah. So now we get back to the interview.
Okay.
What is the difference between your experience before and after your relationship with God?
Okay, so I like these questions. Okay, so my relationship before, um, I was lost, honestly. But I was also younger. I didn't have a real sense of identity. A lot of my experiences were in relationships, even in college, in relationships. I became a mother young, so I had a lot of pressures between working full time, going to school full time, being a full time mom. I was stressed. And so my coping mechanism was alcohol.
Mm.
After my abusive relationship, it was weed. It was like I found a way to cope with a lot of things that I didn't want to deal with because honestly, I was lost. I didn't have a
Right.
sense of self, and I dang sure didn't have no confidence in myself. That's how I could stay in a toxic relationship because I didn't even believe that I was worthy of a healthy type love, let alone know what healthy love looked or was.
Mm.
So, coming into my relationship with God, I've learned what love is, true love. And I've been learning, and I'm still being perfected in what that truly is. It's like I said, it's been a journey, but I've been learning about what love is. I've been set free from a lot of fears, a lot of limitations, a lot of self-doubt. I found my identity, which has helped me develop a lot more confidence in myself and how I show up.
Mm.
Um, I'm just more in love with who I am. So at one point I didn't love myself, and now it's like I love me, and
Mm.
it's true. It says to love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your mind, body, and soul, and then you'll love your neighbors as yourself. So when
Mm.
I did that with Him, in return, He filled me with a self love that I'm able to now pour into others in the same way.
Mm. Mm. Man, you dropping knowledge today. Oh my goodness. I've been you helping me out with some things. How did you find mental clarity to go a different route in life? Like I know sometimes I'm gonna say me personally, I've been going through a decision having to continue my college career or try to continue to go pro. So like how do you talk to God and just how do you find clarity in finding decisions in your everyday life?
That's a good one because that's a question that I've wrestled with for like all last year. How do I live in this world and make these decisions, but still my life is in your hands? So my life is really not my own. Like, how does this all actually look? So that's one. I would definitely just say peace.
Mm.
What brings you peace? And a lot of times, if it leaves you in a place of confusion, do nothing until you get some type of confirmation or some type of sign or peace, or you hear from God that says that you feel like, okay, I really should go this way or I should go that way. When it comes to also making decisions, a lot of times we don't need God to tell us right from wrong.
Mm.
We know right from wrong. We know we are able to we are able to make decisions based on what our moral integrity is and what we believe is to be right or wrong. So that's like everyday decisions. I know that if I discipline myself and I say I got a routine, then of course I'm going to discipline myself in my routine. So making my decisions, I have a vision for myself. I know ultimately where I want to go. And so I'm always looking towards the vision. How is this aligning with the vision? If it doesn't align with the vision, what is the purpose to it?
Mm.
And also just knowing how to pivot, because sometimes in life you think one thing and then your life will go a whole nother way. And so a door will close, within a door, another door may open. And either way, you just got to know how to pivot.
Right.
I'm real big on that.
Mm. Cause that's sometimes I realize too, like I close another door and a better opportunity comes to me in the next door. And that's really just
That's
like
faith.
faith. Yeah. Faith.
That's how faith gets established. When you have the experience, you're like, oh, okay, it always do work out. I ain't got to trip where I'm at because I know that in the last season when I didn't know how it was going to happen, it happened. So
Mm-hmm.
let me
Mm-hmm.
life because we do too much online, looking at everybody else's life, always in our head, worry about where we want to be. And it's like, bro, there's so much life that needs to be lived. There's so much beauty to life if we get out our heads, we put
Mm-hmm.
the phone down, and if we don't think about where we're trying to go and we just trust that we're going to end up where we need to be because there's an appointed timing for everything. It gives you permission to just live.
Mm. It really does. So do you think that there's a connection between mental health and spirituality?
Definitely. My
Mm.
ministry is around self-development and faith.
Mm.
I don't believe the two cannot coexist. Simply from my experience, and this is something that God established with me early, is that it's a partnership.
Mm.
We are at work together, but there's still work that's required on your part. So he does what he does, and then you do what you can do. And so that requires you to do the self work, to
Mm.
look the person in the mirror, to identify the toxic behaviors and traits and the thought patterns and your own limiting beliefs and process your own hurt so that you can just show up better for the next person or just for your family in general. Like you have to do the self work. You have to put the work in. You got to invest in yourself. You have to align yourself in those ways.
Mm.
So I'm really big on self development too.
So how do you go about healing yourself from your past?
So like I said, a lot of alone time, a lot
Mm,
of self-reflection, and a lot of accountability. So when I realized that it's more so who I am than it is anybody else's. And so I started to realize that I had abandonment wounds. I suffered from rejection issues and I had all of these things. And so I started to ask myself a lot of questions because your subconscious, it stores everything. And if you just ask your subconscious some questions, it's gonna come out. So I would just
mm,
ask myself, what is my earliest memory of feeling rejected? And that's when I went back and I literally had a vision of my mother. Mommy, can you listen to me sing? Can you listen to me sing? And they're like, okay. Like her and my father not paying me no attention. And then that
mm,
followed me into like schools and like never feeling like I fit in, getting into friendships, but then they kind of being like fake towards me. All of these were creating rejection wounds. All of these were creating insecurities. And so they just began to manifest in different ways and forms. And so I just started hitting it from the root. I started
mm,
actually going back in time. Okay, what did this, and whatever experience comes up, I feel it because our body stores the trauma. Like you can feel the memories that you haven't dealt with. So as I go back and I think on a memory from the past, I have the same emotions of that thing. And so I'll allow it to myself to just feel it. And then I kind of give that younger me that pep talk, like, I'm here for you now. You're safe. You're
mm.
loved. I'm sorry that I didn't validate you. I'm sorry that I didn't see you. And so I just give myself a lot more grace and
Yeah,
compassion and understanding.
like that. And sometimes, like you just mentioned, a lot of people seek validation for other people to feel secure within themselves. But you really got to seek validation with only two people, yourself and God. And like that's really huge.
Yes.
What are your goals in 2023? Just started. You got any goals for this year?
Getting out of God's way all 2023.
Mm,
The past, I limited myself so much due to a distorted perception of self. And so this year, I'm just daring to believe God for everything that He has for me. I don't have no like, oh, I want to do this and I want to accomplish this. I want to do this. But I want to literally seek first the kingdom of heaven this year and watch everything else be added unto me. And I
mm,
want to show up differently. I want to discipline myself and actually prove like, yeah, you can be a woman of your word and see my self-worth and show up with that confidence and assurity of the God that I serve and who I am. So
mm.
that's what 2020 is looking like.
Like that. So now we get into the hot seat questions of the interview. What do you do to have fun?
I love hanging out with my friends. I just love laughing and just taking the edge off.
Hmm. What's your favorite scripture?
My favorite scripture, Ephesians 3:20. Now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that you can think or ask according to the power at work within.
Hmm. Do you have an alter ego?
Yeah.
What's your alter ego?
I don't have a name, but it's something that just comes out. It's more of like a little, it's more of my personality mixed in there.
Mhm. Okay, okay. What has been your worst job ever?
Oh my goodness. When I tried to work in Modell's one year, it lasted for a week. So boring. I was never big into retail.
I'm about to say model. That's
I
slow.
know.
I
never,
too.
I was always, put me in the food industry, please.
Mhm. What attracts you to people?
People who are just themselves, fully themselves, and a person's mindset is everything. If you can teach me something.
So that's the end of the interview. Anything you want to say to your supporters and people out there watching?
Yeah, check out my podcast. Follow me on Instagram at Krista.Dior. That's Christa.Dior. And then if you click the link in my bio, you'll find my podcast link. And if you want to see the video version of it, it's on YouTube. So all of that's there for you.
And everything gonna be in the link down below, so you guys can stay continual with Krista's journey and everything that's going on in her life and throughout God's journey for your life as well.
Amen.
I appreciate you for coming on today again.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sure.
Hey, hold up. Fred made this?